It's going to be a bit of a challenge here tonight. We got us this Bones of Steel, as well as Chill Pills, and their mission is to protect Monk Ash at all costs. They're the two-man team that's meant to sweep up Ori, trying to see if they can fight Scarlet, as well as Technique in the back. They got Sonaris here with the Vendettas, Wicked Chicago on the Enhanced Shaman, so they got the work cut out for them. The idea is trying to see if they can maybe see if we can become a one-man, two-man army with Scarlet immediately getting stunned up with Sounds to Fall. Absolutely blasted out. What? Okay, chilled. Hold on. Is this actually going to be that much of a challenge at this point? Wait a second. Okay, Scarlet got silenced, and then it was a stun. I think they were just waiting until the silence is off and maybe we'll go for, like, you know, maybe I'll be able to use some kind of defensive there. It is blasted. Chupa's immediately going with a chain of ice onto Technique with a big old PI. That's going to be Mages of the Dead joining in. Got himself a big horror. Stun onto Chilpas. Got himself the AMZ. But the horror effects are going to walk him out of there. Actually, just kind of leaving his barrier. With Technique trying to see if they can just punish Chilpas for being out the open for even a second longer. The Mages of the Dead swinging around, adding on to bonus damage. Chilpas just has to go to build up a little bit of runic power off of that thing, sacrificing his ghoul in order to keep himself alive. That's actually going to be a Shadowward death out of Technique, I think. I maybe expected a blind out of Chilpas. Maybe that's exactly what happened, because it looked like it was a Shadowward. Oh, well, the first one was Shadowward death. That's definitely not a Shadowward death. That's a Megalomania. But some of the biggest bursts cooldowns out of Shadowplace are actually gone. So potential for Chilpas, he could push in and maybe make some damage happen. Chain of Ice onto Technique, Void Eruption, but it's going to get silenced out by Chilpas fairly quickly. That's going to be a shrinking for Technique with a Thousand Chill, but it's going to be a stun. May have to disperse this. Is choosing to disperse at the last second, but Chilpas got himself plenty of damage. This is going to go for a Flash Cuff. No way for Technique to stop it. In fact, if you're Marilith, from what I've seen so far, even if you try to silence Fleshcut and your Marilith gives you CC immunity, and silence isn't exactly an interrupt. It is a silence effect. It's a blanket, which isn't an interrupt spell. It's a CC. It's like a stun, but it's just a silence. Sure, let's try to see if we can dodge and weave all these bolts, man. He actually avoided all of these eruptions out of Technique, who got himself plenty of cast damage. Versus Shield, trying to get some Void Bolts in there back-to-back. Chilpas just looking to get some resources off of the Kevin Slime, just trying to see if he can get himself a little bit of runic power. Technique is going to be getting himself as much just as they can for Chilpas. Letting the dodge to work is going to go for Shadowward Death just in case. Chilpas maybe goes for CC. Another set of eruptions available. And Technique just trying to see if he can maybe maximize range away from Chilpas. Dropping out DPS. AMS is up for Chilpas. Got himself plenty of burst from Technique. No disperse system available. Maybe he can go for some kind of defensive stun. Is just going to lock him out and not give him an opportunity. And Chilpas trying to see maybe if he catch up to Ori, trying to deny Ori any kind of a reset. Silence immediately as a bash comes out by the druid. Chilpas actually has all the ways to break out of it. I guess he did go up against the mage. They just kind of cut it to two. And then he did walk up against the Shadow Priest, which I guess the Shadow Priest can be deadly versus the Death Knight. But not a definite guarantee. Where Death Knights have a lot of bursts, a lot of pressure, and a lot of ways to deal with casters. Or he get interrupted on the nature. Got him some Celestial Alignment. Going for a roar. That's going to be a quick knock-up. Chills bonk in his head on top of the pillar. Is going to go for quick blind to Ori, who is going to go for a trick. Got himself lots of pressure for his chills. Just want to keep the pressure rolling. The Shade of Ice slowing the druid down. Is able to power shift out of them. Quick flab. Just against himself. So much range, so much distance. Towards Shield. Shield burning IBF to break out of the Ward Stump. And trying to see if he can catch up a little bit of healing versus Ori. AMS is up in case he gets it. Ori needs to cut him out through the he needs to cut him out through the Starburst if possible, because if you get him on the bridge, cut him through a Starburst, knock him up, knock him back with a Typhoon, you can create so much distance between you and the Death Knight. It's actually kind of incredible. Chilpa's mounting up, trying to close the gap. Ori with a bash. He's just trying to be proactive here. Chilpa's still holding on to that trinket as the only real ability to deal with Ori. Maybe he could use the AMZ in order to just drop down a dome to deal with some of the magic damage from Ori. That's really not even access to IBF or AMS. Feels really weird though, because those abilities can not only reduce the damage you take, but also immune some of the CC from Ori too, which has multiple uses. Quick interrupt under Ori's Fleshcraft, and Ori looking to maybe go for a juke. Chilpa's not taking the bait so far. Ori is going to drop down and go for a roar. Still, either way, it's either going to get the juke on the bridge, or he's just going to run away from the Death Knight, just trying to see if he can avoid him like the literal plague. Going to be a blind run to Ori with a Mortis Sun Winter. It's going to be a Barkskin while in non-movie form, taking a lot of damage. Silence to follow, trying to pick up the Starburst, maybe knock up the Death Knight, trying to see if he can separate from him. Is going to go for the Typhoon to create some very valuable distance. Chilpa is not dissuaded, continuing his march towards the Boomkin. Thorns to try to give himself a little bit more of a defensive cover. That's going to be Starfalls falling down. Silence of Chilpa is trying to see if he can maybe interrupt him and maybe potentially even lock him out on certain spells. Dropping down, trying to pick up some health. Chilpa's summon up a ghoul just to crush it and squeeze his pulp for all its health. Ori got himself back-to-back Starburst, knocking up Chilpa's, just kind of juggling him. Absolutely just juggling him. And Chilpa's actually takes a bit of that damage. There's going to be these eclipses out for Ori. As long as he's got an eclipse available, the Starbursts do quite a bit extra bonus damage. Being astral damage to benefit from nature damage buffs and arcane damage buffs. And just as long as you got yourself a eclipse, it does more damage. What was that? Wait, hold on. How did Ori just reposition like that? He was getting yoinked in and he was back on the bridge? Huh? Did he go for like a leap as soon as he's getting gripped in? That was a little buggy. That was weird looking. IBF out of Chilpa's, just trying to give himself a bit more tankiness. Ori's just got that maneuverability, just not letting Chilpa's attack him at all. But he wants to make sure he has got a line of sight. Starbursts are available, so you can go juggling Chilpa's some more. He's just sitting next to a Starburst. Chilpa's has to approach him. He's just gonna get juggled around. AMS is up, but still sends him flying into the air. Sounds for a second. Ori with a blind. Trinkets out of it. Barkskin while in barrel form is gonna get himself a frenzy region on top of it. And Ori is just gonna have to take a bit of damage next to the Starburst, but it just fades at the last second. No, actually still interrupt available for Chilpa's. I don't know if Ori expected one. Is gonna go for a Cyclone versus a Death Knight. So he decided, you know what, I'm gonna give up Fleshcraft just to make sure I get a bit of CC. Thorns is up, but Ori's sitting about half his health. Chilpa's with a Chain of Ice, not letting him go anywhere. Knockback, not really working. I think it's because of the Death's Advance for Chilpa's. Just unable to be moved. Just able to advance towards Ori with no slows and knocks available. And Ori just continuing to get as much range damage as humanly possible. Chilpa's kind of struggling in this moment though. Not a lot of defense available. 10 seconds until he gets himself the grip, the AMS. Gonna be Ori picking up a Starburst, trying to see if maybe he can knock up Chilpa's. Chilpa's actually avoiding the Starburst completely. AMS is right next to him. Ori does get to knock him up for a second. It's gonna be Chilpa's super low in health. Ori just needs one more blast or two. It's gonna be Ori going to that cheat death mechanic, and Chilpa's just trying to see if he can catch up. A little bit of healing from Ori. This is where Ori just trying to see if he can maybe punish Chilpa's a little bit. But at this point, like, there's only so much you can do. Chilpa's trying to hold the fort here with Sonara swinging around the corner, regenerating out for Chilpa's. Is able to recover a lot of the health. Does not have IBF, no trinket, full sepsis. Can Chilpa survive this? Dropping down the anti-magic zone to deal with just the poisons, just the sepsis burst. But the bleeds are just continuing to rampage through him with scenarios burning off Cloak, Vanish, and Evasion all in a single go. Chilpa's was actually able to survive it. I think honestly for Chilpa's, not only was he able to survive the Vendetta go by a rogue, which is very deadly, but also he got a Vanish out of the rogue, Cloak, and Evasion. So he could be in a much worse spot, honestly. The only thing Scenarios has right now to their name is Smoke Bomb, Trinket, and a Blind, which Chilpa's will have a Trinket for that. Gonna be a bit of that Nightfare mobility, getting yoinked in with a Blind to follow. Potentially is gonna trick out of this one. Chilpa's is gonna burn some damage. Maybe we'll end up tricking the Blind. Scenarios stunned, not tricking this immediately. Could be in a bit of trouble. Does go for a Blind. Does Chilpa's shoots a burn and Trinket. Decides, you know what, I'm just gonna commit. He had to wage whether he wants to burn a Chicken versus Rogue or save it for Chicago later. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to take this much momentum and try to commit. The Rogue is able to evade him though. Maybe a Shadow Step around the corner, doesn't get to. Actually goes in stealth. So Rogue goes for a bit of a reset, still got dots rolling on him. I don't know if Chilpa's was able to get him with a Howling Blast or not, but he wasn't able to get him with a Chain of Ice. The Rogue is just looking to continue repositioning. Actually doing quite a bit of running. Actually just staying away from the guy quite well. And Scenarios just looking for a bit of a resetty spaghetti around their side of the arena. 9 minutes in a duel, 25% damage, but Chilpa's picking up the eye. Should be able to see the Rogue if he got the angle for it. He's looking for the Rogue. Maybe now picked up the eye? He must have picked up the first eye and now he's... Right? Or did I just miss it? I may have missed it. DK versus Magic is so broken. Yeah, Death Knights are really good against Magic classes, not gonna lie. or any magic effects, AMZ, AMS, and that's gonna be full set of bursts with chill pills. As Dalaran's trying to see if he can shrink it out of that one. There's only so much he can do. With Chicago, you're already getting yoinked in. Sunder just to disrupt chill pills for a quick moment. It's gonna be the wall together with the Earth Elemental joining in. Chicago just trying to see if they can get himself as much survivability as humanly possible. As Shilpas is gonna back up out of there. He tried to take the momentum off of the Rogue into Chicago, but Chicago was able to stop a good portion of it. Flesh cut up as Shilpas trying to see if he can get himself recovery. Chicago does not get the interrupt for it. And Shilpas is gonna be at least 30 seconds until he gets himself yet another pillar and a bit of burst. Chicago may need some cooldowns for it. I don't know if they got Aegis or anything. It looks like Chicago's playing a slightly different build. I don't know what Covenant. I imagine Venthyr. Possibly. Because this is Ascendant. So normally Ascendant you pair to go with Venthyr. And you go for the big burst you go. Together with Ghost Wolves and everything. But I could be wrong on that one. Chilpas is going to get Trinket back up, as well as AMS, Darkback, AMZ. So he's actually got a lot of those cooldowns coming back little by little. Trying to see maybe if he gets some damage over Chicago. AMS up early, trying to get him to Remorseless Winter. Chicago trying to drop down the static zone. I'm going to be a Sunder on Chilpas. Trinket's out of it. Silence in Chicago. Could be in big trouble. Oh my goodness. And the death that just kept on trucking. Save Private Monk Ash. Worked. Chilpas was the saver he needed. Monk doesn't have to die today. The reason they're trying to save Monk is because Monk is trying to give us a filler spot for the duels, but he doesn't got much gear. And he protected it. Mission complete. Mission accomplished. There it is, boys. 1v5 by the Frost King. To be fair, though, he did go up against magic classes, a lot of them. Like Shadow Priest, Boomkin.